Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Mission Genealogy's Office Hours. These are these sessions once a month where we share questions and answers and sometimes just talk about the overwhelm of so many articles and work to do as it feels here on Substack and in our own genealogy work. Today, I'm joined by a lovely gathering here. And in chatting a little bit, does anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Sure, Linda, go ahead.
What about putting footnotes in articles? I just kind of have really resisted it, and I know there's articles out there about it. But to me, it's like I'm back in school, and I'm not into writing like I had to when I did term papers. Now, but then as I'm doing some of the stuff now, it feels like I almost should do something. So I don't know. I'm just so mixed about it. And I have not done it on anything. So anyway, that's kind of my question about the necessity of footnotes.
Hmm. Diane, as an academic with a whole library background, did you want to chime into that one?
Well, I did some university courses and I had to do footnotes for those. So I tend to look at it. I want somebody to be able to look and see where I got my sources from, for them to look in the same place and maybe do some reading, some further reading. So I tend to put them in there. But I can understand sometimes it's just hard to either find the source for something that you've known for a long time or pin it down to a particular place that you might have got that information from.
Yeah. How about you, Bill? You've had a lot of experience with genealogy societies and whatnot. What do you think?
Well, I mean, sometimes I put footnotes on my footnotes, but that's just me. Um, I mean, I do use footnotes a lot, and um, uh, really same reasons that Diane gives. I think it lends credibility when someone looks and they say, okay, well, they've got something behind every point that they've made. Um, and if you're doing serious writing, you want to, go and publish in a journal, something like that, you've got to have them. I think it's just a good practice. Um, I'm I'm probably a little stricter with my own footnotes than some people are. I pull out my copy of Evidence Explained, and I've got little post-its tab using his tabs all through the book, so I can find things quickly. But uh, I understand people who don't do them, but I'm kind of wearing two hats right now, and um, I'm publishing things on Substack, but I'm also doing a lot of things through our society, and working actually with our own version of Stories 250, that we're going to be putting things up on our website. Um, and because of the book that our society just put out, which was well sourced, the writers that I work with in our writers group, expect footnotes, and they're going to footnote everything they write. So I did.
Well, if you have like, you know, I'm saying in the article, this was in the April 25th, 1930 edition of blah, 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 blah. See, to me, I've told you where it is,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
it's not what you're saying. It's not really academic. It's not professional.
Well,
Um,
and
I,
that's perfectly all right if you're not planning to publish in a journal, really. Uh, you know the uh, the majority of articles that you'll read out there, on other sites, they're not heavily footnoted. Do what you're comfortable with doing. Uh, and if you're comfortable just saying, in the text of your article that this is where I found it, that's fine.
I'll take an angle on that one. Linda, I tend to lean to the side of saying, I want to see more people telling their stories. So academic constraints on structure, flow, and publishing to academic journals, frankly, gets in the way of that in some ways. I also tend to think that any kind of storytelling effort is good and should be encouraged and will also be built on top of. So if it's not fiction, then
Yeah.
the idea is that it may very well be the basis for somebody else's work. I also really like footnotes, but not necessarily for academic reasons. I like footnotes as a cheat way to mention what amounts to a parenthetical that mentions something that may be, not really directly related to the narrative flow of the paragraph, but hey, you might want to know that there's this fun fact that, and that kind of thing. And putting it into a footnote, in my view, lets me get it out of the way and stay focused on it's like parking the idea. And sometimes I actually go in and then take my whole footnotes and then make them separate paragraphs later on in the document. But I also wanted to come back to the point about finding things, because I think that's really, really important. In a way, a footnote provides the Google indexing to the sources in a piece, which is very valuable. And in the same way, to come back to a previous conversation before this whole recording began, was a question of how to deal with the overflow. I can't take any more. I got too much to read, which we all feel, actually, I think at some level. And I was saying that I get all of my subscriptions on Substack. I take as email, but I don't read them on email. I use email because I search in email. So since you asked the question, gosh, I think Deborah wrote something about footnotes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a hint. I went to my email seconds after you asked that question and said, Deborah, footnotes, Substack, and boom, June 2nd, are footnotes necessary? It's a great article.
And I know I read it, but it was like, I don't want to do it. But ever since I got this book,
Oh, that's right.
this is the one from my
Yeah.
my great grandfather's the village, and this is the brand new edition, and it cost a lot of money to ship it here.
Right.
The book wasn't expensive, but the shipping was really expensive. But it is unbelievable what I have gotten from it, from understanding why he came when he came and what all was involved. And it even mentioned his brother's kids when they came over, which I already knew, but it reinforced. But of course, in the back, they got gobs of footnotes. But I would want to reference the information I get from this, because that's, I don't want to just say, oh, the reason they came to the United States or America at that time because of blah, blah, blah. Well, I need to reference this book. I could say the book, but it'd be kind of nice to put in the
well, that's actually a fabulous example, because at least I'm the kind of person that always wants to know, why do I have to do that? Why? Tell me why. Don't just tell me how to do it. Tell me why. And so naturally, when it comes to footnotes and structured footnote style, I'm terrible, because I'm like, why? Why does it have to be that way? I wrote it down enough that you can find it. What do I care about 1950s style? Well, here's a great example. Here is a book that you've got the latest edition. I'm going to guess that there's a whole lot of information that wasn't in the original version. And so that's the kind of reason why the footnoting in a structured style that reminds you to find the thing that you hadn't thought was important to include is there. Like, I took it off the web on thus and such a page. What more do you need to know? When did you access that page? Because pages change.
Yeah.
Right.
it took me a really long time to learn how to add because I kept asking why.
Really, why? But again, it's kind of like it kind of goes against what I want to do. I just want to tell the story. But if I'm telling the story like I'm doing even with mom's cakes, I'm telling you the history of the cake. And mom never told me about the history of the cake. And I'm doing it because I'm finding all this research. It's like, I really probably need to document that on there so that people, if they want to go read it, or if there's anything else they want to see
Yeah.
about it.
I
But
mean,
but this especially because of all
yeah.
the stuff that I'm learning about this, even though it is in German, but ChatGTP is doing a great job. At
Well,
least I'm hoping it's doing a good job.
I find that footnotes as a recipient of footnotes, take something like your average Wikipedia page. The content on the Wikipedia page I may wonder about, but it's the footnotes that are where the interesting stuff lies, because that's like this magic cookie trail of interesting resources, some of which may have the same problems, but and the same is true for you, the pieces you write about your mom's cakes. The recipe card itself, you're already scanning in there and including. I would take a strategy. My husband's an attorney, and as attorneys, documents have to be very carefully footnoted as well, and structured for obvious reasons. um but what he does is writes what he calls a black draft. The black draft is the argument, it is the narrative, it is the flow, it is the thinking through. And, we think in words. And then go back and put in ask yourself questions as you go back. Where did that come from? And then maybe as you get good at it, you start leaving yourself black notes, the blue book. I'll get there later. I know which one it is. And then come back later and, fill in the pages or whatever else. I don't know. Just an idea.
That's very close to my process in writing. I write the whole thing out and then go back and footnote it.
Mhm.
And hopefully I can find where I got a particular fact. But if I'm writing, I don't want to stop and structure a footnote. I may
Yeah.
make a quick note to myself, but but I try to get the writing done first, and then then go back and do the footnotes. And Substack is wonderful for that, because if I forget one and see that I see that I need to go and add one back in an earlier spot,
Right.
it renumbers everything for me.
Yeah. But there are some things you already know, I imagine, about footnotes in Substack, is that if you accidentally backspace one more and
Yeah.
delete the footnote, it is gone. It
It's
is
gone.
just
Yeah.
gone. You could undo for just a couple of seconds there, but and many people don't know that down in the bottom left-hand corner there is a revisions button you can go back to rewind where you were before you deleted the lengthy footnote. And a footnote can't have footnotes. Footnotes can have bullet points, they can have
Yeah.
quotes, they
Yeah.
can do everything, but they can't have footnotes, can they?
No, they really can't. But I'll do a footnote and then a long explanation sometimes.
Yeah.
Why this is, I believe this is true, or why I believe it's not true.
Yeah.
If I feel like it needs more explanation.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we just demonstrated two things. One, value of footnotes, but also how to go back and find other articles. As I said, I will include embedded links to not only the Deborah's footnote article, but also, and you want to toss me a favored one, an example of your History of Cakes series. Just pop that over to me, Linda.
That, that article was actually the first time I interacted with Deborah. I had just posted an article right before that, and she sent me a message saying that she liked my footnotes, and she was writing an article and would I read it. So
Oh,
That's neat.
yeah,
I
we
yeah,
became friends.
I think footnotes may be exactly how our tip series started, because she has apparently
Oh, yeah,
made a
I think
name
it
for
is.
herself just on the topic of footnotes, having introduced somebody to, yeah, actually, Substack includes footnotes, and just how powerful that is. Like I said, I mostly use it for just tossing my secondary thoughts because I have a lot of them. Other questions while we're here? What brings you here today, Bill?
Well, I have kind of been absent past few days. I got I've got a little posted here of all the things that I'm committed to do between now and end of January. Uh, um, a few of them here, but I'm doing a workshop next month, WikiTree 101.
Oh,
Also dealing with footnotes.
oh, and is WikiTree 101 open to anyone?
Yeah. I will. I'll send you the information on it.
Well, that'd be
Uh,
great.
By
yeah,
the way,
uh, we're
uh,
we're doing it as a workshop at the library here, but we are going to be on Zoom also. So
yeah, WikiTree is one of those things that it seems very obvious and straightforward, but getting into it is not so straightforward. And I had Sapphire kindly gave me a personal tutorial to sell me
oh
on why WikiTree was such a great idea. I'm sold on the why WikiTree is such a great idea. I am. And I was, I'm not afraid of wikis, been doing wikis back since the 90s. But in my case, somebody camped on my actually my mother and my grandmother's profiles, and I couldn't unlock them. So I had one of the classic WikiTree problems right from the beginning. Very
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
WikiTree is something that can take up a whole lot of time.
yeah, because Substack users, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Really, we need
But
more things.
I kind of uh, got shanghaied into doing this. I was meeting with someone who through the society who wanted us to set up a WikiTree group, and I don't really think there's that kind of interest for it. So I said, well, why don't we do a workshop first and see how many people sign up,
Yeah.
and then we can validate whether or not a group would be warranted. So I met with him and we outlined what the class was going to be, and then he said, I'm not really comfortable speaking in public.
Oh, that old trick, huh?
Uh,
Well,
Wow. Keep an eye
so
out
I've
for
been,
that guy.
yeah. Well, and I've got a meeting with him, uh, actually one tomorrow and one Thursday on WikiTree, but also on another project I got for the society. We're trying to increase our membership of people of color,
Mhm,
and he's been working with a couple of organizations here in Rochester
mhm.
um, that uh, so he's got a lot of connections in that community that the rest of us don't have. So I'm meeting with him tomorrow to talk about that. Uh, Thursday, I'm going to the Family Search Center here. He volunteers every Thursday, and
Good.
we're going to do some more work on the WikiTree workshop. But
Great.
um, but he's introduced me to a lot of interesting things. Let me see if I can get my hands on this quickly.
Kathy Stone,
oh my gosh.
Hey, Kathy.
Hey,
Uh,
Kathy.
you better talk fast, Kathy.
there's a website
Yeah.
um, called Black Pearls of Genealogy.
Black Pearls of Genealogy. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Um, it the man who's done this site, and it is a beautiful site.
Huh.
Oh, just but he's doing these memorials
Uh-huh.
For a lot of enslaved individuals and
Uh-huh.
different groups who've been like there's one that was relocated from somewhere on the East Coast to a town in Texas, and so they do these monuments at both ends of the trail, with names of people, and they've researched genealogies on them. It's a wonderful project, and so I'm uh, John met with him a month or so ago about possibly doing a project here in Rochester, and I'm trying to get the guy lined up to speak to the society.
That's
So
fabulous.
it's
That's neat.
yeah
Very.
yeah
I'll
it's just
add the link into the show notes, so to speak. But it brings up a category as well, coming off of this All About That Place series. That was all about one place studies. And the
yeah
original reason I wanted to do that back in 2024 was to help the spread of that methodology
hmm
for looking at places as a part of our stories. And I don't know that series made moved the needle any, but I think it is part of our ongoing objectives here. And in fact, Janet Berry from the Society for One Place Studies in the UK just reached out to me this morning to ask about what we might be able to do going forward to collaborate. And I am thinking about ways we might do that. I mean, WikiTree is a place to publish one place studies, as is Substack, as is weare.xyz,
yeah
and lots of other platforms as a way to get these stories told. And we saw if you don't mind my references to some of the talks that have been on Project Kin, but as part of our stories 250, Kyla Bayang told this incredible story about her one of her great grandfather and great grandmother, and this horrific slaughter in the Wyoming Valley in Pennsylvania. It is a place, and what happened there, what their stories were, is just amazing. So yeah, I think that's
yeah
just
that was a really interesting story.
yeah.
And my ancestors and hers seem to have crossed. Mine were migrating about that same time, but
Yeah.
uh,
Which is time for another plug, actually. Is I don't know how many of you are following in Dear Myrtle and her Mondays with Mert. As part of her Mondays with Mert series, she's introducing a book club. I'm not sure I'll participate in the book club, but the book is fascinating. It's called Albion Seed. That is apparently a very, very well-known book from the 90s, describing the cultures. Ah, there you go. Exactly.
it is a
Say something while you
thick
do that. There you
book.
go.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a thick book. I'm going to try to do the club. I restrained myself though and did not volunteer to be one
Oh
of the
yeah.
people on camera on that.
Mert works you hard. She works you
Yes.
hard. I'm doing the Kindle version, audio, and the book as I sit at the gym. So I'm hoping to lose as much weight as the book weighs. We'll see. Well, anyway, I highly recommend that because it talks about the different cultural waves of people who came into America, specifically America. Sorry, Diane, specifically America, and what they brought to these different regions. For example, the first chapter is about Massachusetts and East Anglia, and the very subtle practices, cultural practices that were true in East Anglia and also in Massachusetts. Everything from the role of women to, education and things like that, which really interesting. Now I'm like motivated to say, wait a minute. So I've made my lists of who came over when, but I didn't go back to say where were they in England? So I've got work to do. None of my people came from East Anglia, that's for sure. Well,
Yeah, I like trying to figure out the whys.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Why on earth would someone get on one of those little boats, because they were not large, go all the way across the ocean, someplace I knew nothing about?
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I
It's
know,
usually about money or religion, right?
religion. Yeah, I mean, you and I have our.
Well, I was telling you, my book has a whole section in it that's just about why the people in that area immigrated to America, and which is just, it's fascinating. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I have a
and
whole
the
category.
time periods, because this is why,
Yeah.
and this is why, and that men had to be between 17 and 24 could not immigrate if unless they've done service. My during his period that my great grandfather came over, he was 25, and it was up to 24. He was either 26. Anyway, he was just 1 year out from that thing that he was able to leave. Otherwise, he couldn't
And
leave.
what region? This is Germany, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's Germany. It's Lower Saxony. So
Lower
it's,
Saxony.
I think it's north, well,
Yeah.
it's near Netherlands. It's
Yeah.
right next to they're real close to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But it's really, really interesting that and about all these flyers and stuff they put up about don't let people swindle you. And I mean there's a lot of really great information that you don't know about. I mean, that
And
they've got.
what period of time was this?
This is depend. They had different periods of times, and he came over in 1847.
Yeah.
But it depended on when they came over, why they came over,
Right.
and how how many a lot of people did, and then they said then they didn't come over very many, and so it's just really interesting that they've done all this research, and the book lists everybody that lives there now, and their
Yeah.
whole like their whole family and their parents, and and it's kind of like I've got third cousins there that are alive.
Yeah. This
You
is like the same tradition that led to the Swiss in the Glarus canton, where my family was from in the 19th century. Also, they have those, they're all church records. And I haven't gotten into the why part. I'm excited to do that, though. So, Kathy, you joined us with an urgent need right near the end. And as we button this up, do you want to share with us why it came to join us today?
Just because I like to hang out with you.
Oh,
I
big
always
hug,
learn something. I
everybody.
didn't have a pressing question or anything. I was just like, cool. Be better
Well,
if I'd got the time right, but
that's okay. It's a 1 hour time difference. It's very confusing. I get it. I totally get it. Listen, we actually, ironically, we all started out at the beginning of this with a little bit of why are you here and what led you to come today. And the consensus is haven't been here for a while and I've missed everybody and I just want to check in to see what's going on, which is, I think, a universal here.
yeah,
Right up
kind of
there
what
with
I'm doing.
right up there with I'm overwhelmed. I'm so far behind on reading this stuff and how can I keep up?
Yeah,
The
that
answer
too.
is give yourself an amnesty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, be kind to yourself. I kind of like this thread. But with that, I have a bunch of family stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to button this up and let our little recording go out. Thank you all for joining us
Thank
out there
you.
in recording land. Let's say bye-bye to them and you all stay on for just a minute so I can chit chat
Okay.
with the real folks. There we go. You got to stay for the real meetings to hear what we talk about.